Good evening, everybody. We're going to wait just a couple of seconds for some people to hop in here. So if you guys can hear us, give us a thumbs up in chat. So we have a little updated information. Not much has changed though in our thinking with this system. We'll go ahead and wait just a few more. All right, thank you, Aaron. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So if you missed our live stream yesterday, we're going to talk about similar things. So you're not missing much. We're tracking a system that's going to come off the Central Plains, which it actually has already, moving up towards our general area. We're just going to bring snow and rain to a large portion of Michigan. So we're going to go hour by hour here, break it down, accumulations and stuff like that, and impacts to travel and everything that you're going to want to know. So first and foremost, we're going to look at some models here. This is the HRRR model, which is a high resolution model. It's short term, which is fairly accurate for hour by hour analysis. So starting right now, or just about an hour ago at 6 o'clock or so, this is what the radar should be looking like. And it looks similar to this. But as we go into the evening hours, we're going to fast forward through this. Overnight tonight, about midnight to 1 a.m., we start watching some more activity bump up into our area. And timing has shifted a little bit later. I'm thinking closer, maybe 2, 3 a.m. instead of that 1 a.m. we talked about last night. So a little bit later starting time. This model here is showing right between that 2 and 3 a.m. time frame. We're going to see our first snowflakes in southern Michigan. It's going to travel from south to north. So areas closer to the Ohio border, Indiana border, will see those snowflakes first overnight tonight. So moving into the early morning hours on Tuesday, the snow could be heavy, and in fact, it probably will be heavy at times across much of southern Michigan and parts of central Michigan. This is going to be 5 a.m. We see the morning commute here will be likely impacted by this system in the form of snow before it changes over to rain a little bit later on. Moving a little bit further on past 5 a.m., we're going to go 6, 7, and then 8 right here, and we see pretty much still snow for a majority of us here in Michigan. That snow continues to spread north as we continue into the morning hours, late morning hours of Tuesday, tomorrow morning. So when does it change over to rain? It's likely to change over to rain right around that 10 a.m. to noon time frame. We could see a mix of some freezing rain mix in there very briefly. Nothing too big to be concerned about with the freezing rain potential there. It's very minimal, if any at all. And then as the temperatures gradually climb, we start to see this change over to rain for the majority of us here in southern Michigan. Now, that's as far as that model goes out. We'll go ahead and use the GFS now for a little bit better picture. We do see a change over here by 12 p.m. noon, and that changeover is a pretty big changeover for southern Michigan, anywhere from the Tri-Cities area back through Grand Rapids. We're looking at changeover to rain. So what's going to happen is we're going to see probably several inches of accumulation going back to the HRRR model here. We're likely going to see several inches of accumulation across southern Michigan in the early morning hours of Tuesday, which will likely impact your morning commute and potentially even your early afternoon commute before it gradually melts with the rain falling. But overall totals, we do have some higher confidence now that we could see some areas reaching into that 2 to 4, maybe even 5, isolated 6 inches in spots, given the amount of overall dynamics with this initial band of snow that moves into the area is quite strong. So we have to watch that and see how the temperatures fluctuate, because there is some models here that are indicating what we call a warm nose kind of mixing in here, which could limit some of this heavier snowfall, maybe turn it to a little bit more of a mix into some rain there. We'll have to watch that closely. But if this stays pure snow in the early morning hours on Tuesday, we likely could see a large area of southern Michigan, we'll say I-94 area and areas south, which could receive 2 to 4, maybe even higher amounts with that in isolated spots. The greater area for higher amounts is likely going to be in the Irish Hills area, where we call it the glacier area. anywhere from eastern Hillsdale County, western Lenawee County, up through eastern Jackson and western Washtenaw counties. Those areas that kind of spreads up towards the West Metro Detroit area. As you can kind of see here on the map, we do have a little bit of a purple area showing up, showing 6, 7 inches of snow here. We go up into the West Metro Detroit and Washtenaw County. We're getting 4, getting at 5 in spots. So again, have to watch that potential this morning. It's likely going to impact your travel commutes in southern Michigan here. And then areas further north, we'll say north I-94 mainly. We're talking between 2 and 4, probably going to be closer to the 1 to 3 mark before it switches over to rain. And then most of the snow that does fall is going to melt throughout the day on Tuesday as it changes over to rain. Going back here to the GFS time frame here, again through the early and late afternoon hours, we see right here at 4 p.m. most of southern Michigan and parts of central Michigan is in that rain area. Again, from about the Tri-Cities, from Bay City, Saginaw, Midland, all the way down toward the Grand Rapids area. That still holds true. Nothing really has changed in that rain snow line. Shifting of the rain snow line will likely still occur, but it should be pretty minor at this point. Overall accumulations, total, again, we covered the southern part of Michigan. That's going to melt. So don't get too excited. It's not going to stick around long, but it will be impactful for travel in the Tuesday morning and possibly Tuesday afternoon, depending on how quickly it melts with the rain. But overall accumulations across the northern part of the state, where a more significant band of snow will fall, still thinking that 5 to 8, isolated up to 10 inches in spots is likely anywhere from North Grand Rapids all the way up to that Tri-City. Again, going to heavily depend where that rain snow line sets up. And right now, the latest 18Z, which is an afternoon model of the GFS, the run of the GFS this afternoon, has shifted that rain snow line just a bit to the south. So whether that's going to be a trend we're going to have to watch, kind of shift as it arrives tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have to watch that closely. But if you are in the northern part of Kent County, this model does show more snow than it did yesterday. We'll have to watch that closely again to see how that sets up. But again, that area is going to include major cities. Go ahead and pull up a map here really quick and lay out some major cities in this heavier snow swath. We're talking going to be Gaylord, Traverse City, Cadillac, West Branch, Hubbard Lake, Atlanta, Lewiston, Fairview, Roscommon, Mount Pleasant, even getting on the action there potentially. Gladwin, Standish, those types of areas, all the way down toward Ludington, Manistee, up towards the coast, toward the uh, tip of the mitten up toward Mackinac City. Those are going to be the main areas of heavier accumulation. And again, it's going to be probably 5 to 8 with isolated up to 10 inches in spots. Now, this is a GFS model. We're not going to look at the European model just because it shows a similar picture. The Euro is just slightly a little bit further north than this model, but overall picture here is a good swath of about 5 to 8 plus inches of snow will be in northern Michigan, even parts of central Michigan potentially, when all is said and done. Looking at our updated map that we have created here at MSC, we do have this updated map. We just came out with it this afternoon, just posted before we went live here. Again, we're going to show you this 2 to 4 swath that we talked about along 94 that kind of travels up into Metro Detroit, closer to Lake Erie in Canada here in Detroit Metro itself, all the way down through toward Monroe County, all the way up into the Port Huron area. We'll likely not see much in the way of significant accumulation just because the lake temperatures, the lake water temperatures will likely inhibit accumulation on that, but still likely to see a few inches of accumulation in those light blue zones. We designated 1 to 3 inches for those zones. And then if you're up in the very the tip of the thumb there, we're talking a trace, that which means two, or the T there means trace. So very trace amounts of snow up to 2 inches, going to heavily depend on how warm it gets up there. It's pretty close to that rain snow line as well. So the black area, the black circle, should I say, is going to indicate where the changeover may or may not occur. That has shifted further south, like I said this afternoon's models have shifted that a little bit further south, but we have narrowed it down there to a more narrow area. So hopefully that cuts down a little bit of the population that people are wondering, is it going to be snow? Could it be rain? It can go either way there. And then north of that black circle, more certainty is definitely there with 5 to 10. We've also added a 5 to 10 for the Marquette area with more lake effect snow up there. Potential for lake effect snow is going to be increased. And then we extended the trace to 2 in the western UP, just a little bit further west than yesterday's. The overall picture here remains the same, going through the early morning hours of tomorrow and then into the Wednesday morning hours. Now, again, a few points to note here that I did not touch on was number one, with this rain changing to snow in southern Michigan, we could see potential for some isolated flash flooding with that. given the snowfall. If we say we get like 5 inches of snowfall in some areas, and then it changed over to snow, we get about a half inch to an inch of rain. That's going to turn to slush. That slush could block storm drains. That could cause some flooding issues and drainage issues. So we have to watch that flooding potential closely, and that goes for most all of southern and central Michigan in the morning hours and the early afternoon hours of Tuesday, as we get into the deeper part of the heavier rain Tuesday afternoon and evening. And then the second issue is wind. The winds are going to pick up on Tuesday night, potentially gusting up to 35 to 45 miles per hour. Isolated power outages possible, blowing snow where snow showers are still ongoing. And again, this a whole array of things that come with the wind. So secure your trash cans, secure loose objects, be prepared for reduced visibilities. If you get into some snow showers, that could reduce your visibility on traveling. But overall, a pretty impactful system when all is said and done here for most of Michigan, if not all of Michigan. So I have to kind of play it by ear things for Wednesday for sure. But again, I'm still unsure about tomorrow in general, how schools are going to play that. Um, with that being said, I believe I covered most everything. We have Joel on here with me today. We're going to answer some of your questions. And if you guys have questions, shoot them our way. Otherwise, we've covered pretty much everything here. If we look at, I can look at this really quick here. If I go back and refresh this, this is a live radar look. We're seeing our first initial band of precip down here pushing our way already in Indiana and Illinois. Again, we're not expecting that until later this evening. So we still have a few hours to go until we get into that precip. But once it arrives, we'll be posting updates and going from there on our page. So anyway, back to our forecast map here. I'll look to the comment sections for questions. Hey, Stephen, you've heard near the Ohio-Michigan border, we could see a changeover to all rain. That is correct. That will likely happen. It's going to start as snow, but the changeover to rain will likely happen right around that 10 a.m. to noon time frame, and it'll be all snow from then on. But then Wednesday morning, we could see some lingering snow showers, but nothing accumulating with that is expected. So again, 2 to 4 is definitely possible of accumulation early tomorrow morning, but then changeover to rain will likely melt all that. I was waiting for this comment. We've had a lot of messages, comments on our posts about this upcoming weekend system. We have made posts about it. There is potential for a system to move through. It's looking like we're going to be impacted by it. But again, I don't want to say specifics because the track will change between now and then. And I think going over stuff this early would be a disservice because I just don't want to entertain the idea of what some of these models are showing. So I just don't want to go into that just yet. We will know more Wednesday when the system is on land and sampled. The data into the data that will be inputted into models will be much more accurate. So expect a lot of updates on Wednesday. In Ludington, your heaviest snow is going to likely start Tuesday afternoon and evening. I would say closer. If you look at it hour by hour here in the GFS, I would assume about Tuesday, right around that 7 p.m. time frame. I'm going to assume here, but I'm going to look really quickly here. The heaviest snow for you looks to be just after the 8 p.m. time frame tomorrow evening, and then that's going to last for a few hours before moving out for Wednesday. We do see some lake effect on some of these models. So have to watch that potential as well for lake effect areas. But the heaviest snow for Traverse City definitely looks, or sorry, Ludington definitely looks for. Later on in the evening tomorrow.
I was looking at the GFS for temperatures. Not only will it be rainy, it'll be rainy in almost 40 to 45 degrees, especially in portions of southeast Michigan. So there's no real chance at wintry mix beyond probably the morning hours Tuesday morning or tomorrow morning.
Right. Yeah, so snow lovers in South Michigan there, south of that black circle, definitely you're going to get a taste of snow, but unfortunately Mother Nature is going to rip that away from you when it turns to rain. So enjoy your couple hours of accumulation, but say bye-bye to it pretty quickly. So Kent County and Montcalm County is right on that rain snow line. It could go either way. The latest GFS model did shift that rain snow line south. That does include Kent and Montcalm counties. But overall consensus between majority of the models do show the rain snow line a little bit to your north. So it could go in your favor, but it's leaning more towards just a couple inches of accumulation and potentially some rain mixing in there for you as well. Is Lansing going to be in the rain snow mix? Yes. Yes, it will be. It'll start as snow and then it'll transition over to rain by mid to late morning tomorrow morning. And it should be all rain until we get some lingering snow showers on Wednesday. Newaygo County, you're again pretty close to that rain snow line. You're a little bit further north though, so it's more likely you may get into the heavier band of snow there. I would lean more towards snow for you in Newaygo County versus rain. But again, you're really close to that rain snow line where it could go either way or it could be a mix, cutting down those totals. So be prepared for anything. But I'd say from a perspective here, I think we're looking at more of a snow solution for Newaygo County. Not sure what you're asking here, Tammy. The page Michigan Storm Chasers is where we're streaming from right now. Our subscription service is Patreon, and that's a completely different platform. Any other pages that aren't really posting are probably fake pages. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of fake Michigan Storm Chaser pages. Some that even try to bait you into clicking links. Please don't do it. Okay, please make sure that you are clicking on anything that we post in the comment section. Make sure that is from our account. You can do so by clicking on the profile of the comment. It'll take you right to the account. It should show up. Our account has 80 some thousand followers. The ones that are fake accounts will have probably less than 50 followers, if that. Monroe County, definitely going to be a little bit on the lesser side of things. 1 to 3 inches is possible of accumulation of snow before it changes to rain. But again, I'm not expecting much in the way of accumulation closer you are to Lake Erie. So again, mainly going to be a rain event for you guys. This is a good question, Miranda. So the black circle is basically just indicating where it could transition from rain or snow to rain, vice versa. It could vary throughout the day as temperature profiles fluctuate. It doesn't indicate freezing rain by any means, but it does indicate where the temperatures may be too marginal for snow or just cold enough for snow, if that makes sense. If there's going to be any freezing rain tomorrow, it's going to be in the mid morning hours as the temperature profiles rise from below freezing or at freezing to just above freezing. Although, again, I'm not really seeing much in the way of significant risk for freezing rain. I'm thinking it's going to be more of a snow to pure rain type of deal. That goes for all of Michigan, not just that black circle area. So Swartz Creek is up by Flint, I'm assuming. So it's going to change over right around that 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. time frame. And yes, it will change this. It will change to rain. The snow starts early morning, right around, I'll say probably closer to 6, 7 a.m. for you guys that far north. And then change over to rain will happen about noon or so for you guys. So yes. Lake effect snow is still a little bit uncertain at this time. I'm going to lean more towards a lesser ordeal with lake effect snow, and if that does happen, it'll be on Wednesday. Minimal potential is there. Nothing significant is expected. Yes, wind will still be an issue. And 35 to 45 mile per hour gusts statewide. I think the blue zone and 5 to 10 zone especially will have a higher chance of power outages given the snow will be heavy and wet, could weigh down trees, power lines, etc. So I'd expect more in the way of power outages up in that direction. Down here further south in the light blue and the aqua zone, I would expect there to be isolated at best power outages, but these winds will likely remain. um, what I'm trying to say is the snow is not going to weigh us down here in the southern part of the state. Excuse me. So the winds won't have the winds will only be winds and not have the extra snow to add to it. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I lost my train of thought. I apologize for that. Ann Arbor will go from snow in the morning hours to rain right around that 10 a.m. to noon time frame. That goes for Midland as well as Coldwater. See some questions here. Shiawassee County, same thing. Snow early, rain later.
Brian, when you get a moment, I can go into depth as to why it's hard to forecast that rain snow line.
You're more than welcome to.
Okay, I have some SKUTs pulled up on 2 different areas of the state. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear my neighbors. I think they're screaming at. I don't know if the Michigan game started yet or not, but
yeah, it did. I scheduled this at 7:30, and I didn't realize the Michigan game was on at 7:30, so I apologize.
It's okay. All right. Can you see the sounding?
I can see it on my end. Yes.
Okay. And do you see it flipping back and forth?
Yes.
Okay. So I picked 2 soundings here. Forgive me, everyone. This might look really confusing for you guys, but as a meteorology student, I can do my best to help you guys understand what you're looking at here. So trying to cue in on what we're looking at here, we're going to go look at this left column where you see these lines that go just kind of jagged up into the atmosphere. And what we're actually looking at here is our horizontal look into the atmosphere, where your bottom level right now is the ground, and it goes all the way up to the top of the tropopause, which is up there at the top of the graph. So basically, you're taking a horizontal slice of the atmosphere, and you're looking at the temperature and the dew point as you go up in the atmosphere. And the reason why this is going to be tough to forecast is right down here at the bottom. If you look closely, there's this dashed blue line that goes up diagonally. That's our 32-degree line, or our freezing line. And as you see here, that red line has about 1 kilometer of warm air, or we call it the warm nose. And this was taken from, I believe, the Battle Creek area sometime tomorrow evening around 5 p.m. Again, in Battle Creek. And as you can see, it's obviously going to be 36 degrees. But one thing to remember is that it's going to be colder just aloft. So it depends on how much melting you have between the freezing line and down to the ground. Because you can still have snow, even if, the first 50 feet above the ground are above freezing, which is very common, especially in this time of the year. And then when we go and look at the Gaylord sounding, now this is a huge difference where you see pretty much everything above the ground is in the freezing. So you'll have plenty of snow tomorrow for Gaylord area. And then again, as you see close down there to the ground, you have a little bit of a warm nose, but not significant enough to be, I guess you could say, melting into rain. So again, what I'm trying to say is that it will be freezing just above the ground for a lot of the middle portions of the state. It just depends on how much that warm layer, how deep that warm layer is how impactful the snow rates are going to be, because this is going to be a heavy wet snow tomorrow. So hopefully this can kind of give you a good sense of why it's difficult to forecast this, because it is freezing just above the ground, but sometimes the warm layer down at the ground itself, where you have that southwest wind. Actually, you can actually see that here on the column on the right, this one that goes right up the side of the screen here. These wind barbs. So you have this one that kind of points downward. That's a wind out of the northeast. And so that's cold air advection, whereas you look in the Battle Creek sounding, and that's wind straight out of the south. So that's a lot of warm air down at the surface, and thus why you have a deeper level of warm air. So hopefully that you guys understand a little bit about that. This is just my meteorology in me talking. So if you guys don't understand, then, don't yell at me. But yeah, this is why it's a little bit difficult tomorrow. So hopefully you guys get a sense of what we're looking at here.
Thank you, Joel. There's a lot that goes into winter forecasting where 1 degree at any point in the atmosphere could shift that significantly. And I don't think people realize how hard it is to predict to the inch how much snow is going to fall at a particular location, especially as you get further out, like say from a week out. It's really just it's not as easy as you think it is, and there's a lot that goes into it. And models are not always 100% correct, so keep that in mind as well. All right, going back to some counties here, or some questions, getting some more questions here with counties and areas for snowfall. So I saw a question for Gaylord. You're going to be in the 5 to 10 zone. Let's go ahead and catch back up here.
Scooties
Okay.
are from the GFS.
Somebody asked that?
Yeah, Drew did.
Okay. I'm way up in the comment section. I need to go back down.
Yeah.
Nancy for Lenawee County. You're looking at snow in the early morning hours tomorrow morning, and then that'll change over to rain by, we'll say, 10 to noon in the morning. Coldwater, again, you could see 2 to 4 initially, but that'll melt when it changes to rain later on in the day. That goes for Wayne County as well. Ann Arbor will be the exact same. Why is Wayne County circled? I'm not sure what you mean by that. St. Joe County, 2 to 4. But again, these accumulations south of that black circle, it's going to change to rain. So what is going to fall will melt. But what's going to fall will be right around that time frame of your morning commute. So it will be impactful for the morning traveling. So it does make a difference. But again, at the end of the day, it's going to melt. I can't stress that enough. Berry County, you're going to be right on the edge of the 1 to 3, 2 to 4. I'm going to say probably 1 to 3 for you. Or wait, Berry County, that's north of Kalamazoo, right? Yeah, it's north and east of Kalamazoo. So yeah, you're in the 1 to 3 zone. Muskegon, you're going to be right in the rain snow line. I'm going to lean more towards the rain for you guys for right now. I know we have you guys in that split zone between the 5 to 10 and the 1 to 3. I do think there's potential you guys could sneak into that heavier band with the GFS is right this afternoon. But I do see more potential, especially given your proximity to the lake shore, that you're probably most likely going to see more rain than snow. I think you're going to end up on the lower side of that 5 to 10, probably closer to 2 to 5 around that range. Allegan and Kent counties. Allegan County, you're looking at the 2 to 4 / 1 to 3, depending on where you're at in the county. And then Kent County, you're looking at mainly 1 to 3. I think the heavier snow is going to stay to your north. Traverse City, you're going to be in the 5 to 10. Again, the heaviest snow for the 5 to 10 zone is going to come Tuesday afternoon, evening, and then a little bit in the overnight hours on Wednesday. So different timing that we're going to see in the southern part of the state for the heaviest snow. Snow will begin for Mount Comb will be right around that. I want to say, go back to the model here because that's right in the zone there where you can see 2 rounds. The first round arrives early morning. I'd say probably by 9 a.m. you'll be getting snow. Then that main snow line is going to be just off to your north, I'm going to assume, but you could be seeing snow all day Tuesday if you're in the snow zone. Otherwise, it'll change over to rain after Tuesday morning. Not much for Lapeer County, not much up there. You could see a few inches, but nothing too impactful for you guys. Snow will start. What? Go ahead.
I was just saying, and then it'll melt.
Yeah.
And then it'll start snowing again.
Yeah. All right. Hillsdale area is going to start seeing snow right around, I'm going to say 2 to 3 a.m. tonight. It'll last pretty much all morning until it changes to rain. It'll be mostly rain until Wednesday morning, until it changes back over to snow. Washtenaw County, how much snow? You're going to be in that 2 to 4 zone. We could see some isolated higher amounts in that zone, with Washtenaw County being in the higher elevation. But again, that's going to melt, but you could see impacts to your morning commute. What's up, Julie? Just seeing your comment there. I am 8 minutes behind. Holy smokes. Let's see here. I'm going to say Nuevo County is going to be more in the snow zone. I'm thinking you're going to see that 5 to 10 for sure. But again, you're pretty close to that rain snow line, so any minor shifts may put you in more of a rain zone. So be prepared for that. But I do think you are going to be in the snow zone primarily. Man, we're getting a lot of comments about looking at models for Friday Storm. I just don't want to do it just yet.
No, not yet.
No, sorry guys, we're just not going to entertain that. I will say, if you guys really want to see that storm, you'll likely need to come back on Wednesday or Thursday because we are not going to dive in where the system's not even on shore yet and sampled. That's just I don't want to go over. The takeaway from the weekend system is it's possible that we could see snow again for a larger area. But again, if that track shifts, then we're kind of out of luck. So we're just not going to
Yeah.
go.
Even a 50-mile shift could be the difference between 34 and an inch of rain and 30 degrees and a foot of snow. So
Exactly. A lot of people asking about school closings. Again, Southern Michigan, if schools are going to close, they're going to close tomorrow. I'm just not sure if there's going to be enough snow on the ground at that point where buses go out where they're going to say, we're not going to risk it. It's going to come down to probably a school by school basis and maybe even an area by area basis. If we get the higher end of this, I could definitely see some schools delaying or closing for sure. But again, it's going to depend on the school, how they want to play it. I really just don't have any answers. The further north you go into that 5 to 10 zone on Wednesday, likely we're going to see some school closings up there, but I just don't know for Southern Michigan. Excuse me. Flint area is going to be snow initially, 1 to 3. That starts tomorrow morning, and then they'll change over to rain. It'll be all rain by Tuesday afternoon, and then that'll stay rain until late Tuesday night before shifting back over to some snow showers for Wednesday morning. Total accumulation is going to be 1 to 3, but again, that's going to melt during Tuesday afternoon. Monroe County, you're going to be looking at mainly a limited snow totals just because you're closer to Lake Erie. It's a little bit warmer towards the lake shores. And then also, it's going to change over to rain for you guys as well. Sorry, I'm looking at some comments here. I'm getting my phone. But we have Monroe County and even eastern Wayne County there as well. Likely going to see 1 to 3 initial accumulation, but then that changes over to rain by Tuesday afternoon. It's going to be pure rain. It's going to melt most of the snow, if not all the snow away. All right. Brighton, you're going to be in that same 1 to 3 zone. It's going to start to snow, change to rain. Yeah, Skylar, right around that time frame, be right around that 1 a.m. I'm thinking a little bit later on. I think a bit closer, probably 2, 3 a.m. Wouldn't be shocked if it arrived earlier. Wouldn't be shocked if it arrived later. Sometimes the start of snow is fickle just because the air has to saturate before it starts to fall. So right around that 2 to 3 a.m. time frame, give or take an hour or so, is right around where we're going to be expecting the first snowflakes in southern Michigan. Is it Gratiot County? Am I saying that right? Yeah, you guys are right there on the rain snow line. Now, a further south track will put you in more snow, but I'm thinking it's going to be just off to your north. I think you guys there are going to be mainly rain, unfortunately. Although you could see some snowflakes mixing in. If anything for you guys, it's going to have to shift a little bit further south. Sanilac County, you're looking at right around that the line between trace to 2 and 1 to 3 inches. Again, it's going to start as snow, but it's going to change over to rain for you guys up there as well. So not expecting much accumulation up there in Sanilac County. Jackson's going to be in that 2 to 4 area initially, but again, going to change over to rain. It's going to melt most of that away. Usually we wouldn't advertise the 2 to 4, 1 to 3, and trace to 2 zones because it's going to change over to rain. But because it's also a work day and it falls right there at the morning commute, it's going to be impactful. It's going to probably be a slick commute before it changes to rain. So that's why we're kind of advertising this more. We usually wouldn't use more, we wouldn't really strongly word it like we are kind of right now if it wasn't centered around like a rush hour type of ordeal. But because it is before it changes over to rain, we're kind of advertising it as accumulation because it will accumulate, but it will melt later on. Anthony, where exactly? Go back here. Did I answer your comment before? Where exactly are you talking about there? If you're talking about the southern zones, it's going to change the rain, unfortunately. But if you're talking that rain snow area, it's going to be that 5 to 10 or that 1 to 3 zone. There's going to be really no in between there. It really just depends on your location. But yeah, if you guys are down, say like Kalamazoo, Lansing, Flint, Detroit areas, if your guys are hoping it's not going to change over to rain, I don't know what to tell you. It's going to. I don't think there's a 0.0000001 chance this changes to snow. It's just not going to happen. If it didn't change over to snow, or if it didn't change over to rain, just curious if it didn't change. So Joel, being the meteorology student here, our QPF is right around that 1 inch mark. Assuming 10 to 1 snow ratio, could I assume that if this didn't change over to rain, would the areas south get right around 10 inches, just like the areas in the north? Assuming it doesn't change over to rain.
Wait, is that a comment?
No, that's a question directed at you.
Oh.
Assuming 10 to 1 snow to liquid ratio.
To be honest, I I haven't really focused too much in my meteorology studies on QPF yet, so I can't really. I don't feel comfortable enough answering that question.
Okay.
So
I would go ahead and make the assumption that the 10 to 1 ratio would likely mean that 1 inch of liquid will equal 10 inches of snow. So the QPF, the mean QPF, would be right around that 10-inch mark, give or take a few inches. What time do you think it's going to start in northern Oakland County? What conditions are different in the real swoop to warrant 2 to 4 instead of 1 to 3? Looking at the HRRR model, we'll go over, hey, the 00Z is coming out. Cool. We'll have a new fresh model to look at here in a minute. The latest HRRR model is showing the start of snow for Oakland County would be right around, zoom forward here, Tuesday morning, right around, we'll say 7 to 8 a.m. Now, why we're warranting the 2 to 4 instead of 1 to 3 is because we are watching this little bump up here. It's kind of hard to see. Can I zoom in with this? I wonder if I can. I can. Sweet. So if we do this and slide this over, if we look closely here, we see this area. I wish I could draw, but we see this area of darker blue. You can see my mouse hovering over the inches. So over here we have 4 or 5 inches all across southern Michigan here. But why we're warranting that swoop up into Oakland County is this particular swoop of snow that goes all the way from the border from Lenawee County all the way up through western and northern Metro Detroit areas. That's why we're putting that 2 to 4 plus there, because the model is indicating we could see some higher amounts up that way. And that's probably mostly likely because of higher elevation. There's a glacier ridge, I guess they call it, between basically in western Lenawee, eastern Hillsdale. It kind of rides up towards Metro Detroit area. So it's higher elevation, and that's likely why you're seeing some higher accumulation totals there. But yeah, this is why we're kind of warranting the 2 to 4 plus, because this model is showing 2 to 4 in some areas. We're not going to go hog wild and go 4 to 6 like we did earlier, because the signal for that is kind of backing off slightly. But we do still see some areas on this model indicating 6 inches in spots as well. So that's definitely a possibility. But again, highly dependent on if that will stay all snow, which there is some concern with that. But we do think it will stay mostly snow. So that is why we are kind of warranting 2 to 4 instead of 1 to 3. I'm kind of curious to look at the latest model run here and see if it's a valid run to look at here. So this is coming out live. It's only out until 5 a.m. in the morning here. So I have to kind of wait if you guys want to see this model. Wait for it to load up. So we'll keep it there and come back to it in a few minutes. Alpena, you're going to be in the 5 to 10 zone. But again, you are closer to the lakeshore up there, so your totals may be cut in just a bit, but not significantly. I still say 5 to 10 is a good range for you guys up there in Alpena. The closer you are to the lakeshore, the warmer the air temperatures can be, which could inhibit some snowfall. So keep that in mind if you live closer to the lake shores, within about, I'll say, about a 5-10 mile radius, I'd say. Yes, Karen, Grand Rapids is in the 1 to 3 zone. If the storm does take a more southerly track, that could shift that snow line a little bit further south for northern Kent counties. The confidence in that is low. We're expecting it to be mostly a rain up there. So, but yes, Kent County is in the 1 to 3 zone. All right, so Wyandotte and Midland County, I'll go ahead and combine those two. So those two areas, again, are going to start out as snow in the morning hours, in the early morning Tuesday hours, tomorrow morning, I guess I'll say. I say Tuesday, but it's actually tonight/tomorrow morning. It's going to start as snow for you guys, and then transition to rain, melting all that snow away. So those accumulations you're seeing here on this map are indicative of that first initial snowfall, not factoring in the potential or the likelihood of rain cutting that down. All right, let's look at some other questions here. You see a question for Big Rapids. So Big Rapids area, you're going to be mostly, I'm going to lean more towards snow. 5 to 10 inches is likely up there. See a question here for East Point. So East Point is going to be pretty much directly in that Metro Detroit area, where you're going to see 1 to 3 inches of accumulation tomorrow morning, and then it'll change over to rain. My brother is driving from DC to Detroit for the Lions game. Go Lions, by the way. What's the best day in your estimation? Should he make the travel? That is a great question. And again, not going to get too specific, but the likelihood of snow between Michigan and DC is quite good. So I definitely make the drive if he has the time on Friday. That's going to be your best travel day to avoid that system. Early Friday. Midland and Port Huron, some questions for. Go ahead and combine those. Are pretty close proximity. Or actually, yes, they're not. Port Huron is still the same no matter what, but Port Huron is actually further to the east and south. But both of you guys, Port Huron, Midland, you guys are going to be starting as snow, changing to rain. 1 to 3 is likely for you guys before it changes to rain. Western Mackinac County in the UP, you guys are in the 5 to 10 zone. Gaylord is in the 5 to 10 zone. Mecosta County, you are going to be, I'm going to go ahead and pull that map up here real quick. You're going to be on that rain snow line, but again, I lean more towards snow for you guys up there. I'm going to go ahead and say 5 to 10 is likely for you guys up there. Again, if you guys want to look at the map after we're off this, it is posted on our page. And if you don't know where to find yourself on a Google map, go ahead and go to Google Maps. And there's actually a cool little feature that you can click a little bit of like an arrow, looks like a computer mouse really, and that'll show you where you are on the Michigan map. You can kind of correlate that to our map and get an idea of where you're at. I know some people have a hard time finding themselves on a map, so that's a good way. Download the app Google Maps or even on a computer, really, and then click that arrow, and it'll show you exactly where you're at. And then you can correlate to our map. Again, not getting specific here, Alec, on the system for Friday. We'll get more specific on Wednesday when we have more better data to look at. But there is a potential for a system, so that's all you need to know at this point. What time? Tri-state area? You're talking like Midland and Saginaw, those areas up there for that area. You're talking like tri-state, as in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. We're talking down toward the border of Ohio, Indiana. It's going to start early this morning, possibly as early as 1 to 2 a.m. right around that time frame. If you're talking Tri-Cities, you're talking mainly mid-morning, right around the 8 to 10 a.m. time frame. Yes, guys, if you guys have snowfall reports, pictures, videos, feel free to message those to us or even comment on some of our posts tomorrow. We always like seeing you guys, your content, your pictures, and you never know, we may just post it on our page if you let us. So always appreciate those of you who send videos in to us. My son will be traveling from Kalamazoo to Chicago tomorrow after 6 p.m. What will the roads that way look like tomorrow night? So the roads by 6 p.m. here in Michigan will likely be clear by 6 p.m. because it's going to change over to rain right around that noon time frame. So it should be pretty much a clear shot over for you guys. The closer you get to Chicago, though, let's look at some of this accumulation here. The closer you get to Chicago, I think your snow chances will actually start to increase, if I remember correctly. Go ahead and do this. I forecast Michigan. I don't forecast Illinois. Yeah, Illinois, the closer you get to Chicago here, we see right there on the rain snow line, but Chicago is looking to be in the snow area. So the closer you get to Chicago, the more snow you're going to run into. So keep that in mind for your son when he travels. And that new model is still loading up here. It's out to 10 a.m. Tuesday morning. And as we can see, we still see that heavier swath here across Lenawee, Hillsdale, even parts over here towards Cass County as well. That's only out until 10 a.m. So likely you're going to see that continue up north here. So again, that forecast we posted, this one right here, still looks really good, I think. Actually, I was covering it with the screen. Sorry, guys. If you look at the model map here, we see a heavier area here, still in Lenawee, Hillsdale County, and there's also some indication over here in Cass County as well. So southern Michigan, 994 area, south, 2 to 4 plus for the morning accumulation before changing to snow. And there is your live radar. For those of you who are interested in that, we still see that area of precip working its way towards Indianapolis, across parts of Peoria, Illinois, working its way slowly up towards our region. That'll likely arrive here in the coming 4 or 5 hours. I don't think Kingston will close their schools tomorrow just because accumulations will be too light. I think the best chance, I'm not saying there's a big chance, but I think the best chance for school closings will be in that 2 to 4 zone, especially maybe even across Hillsdale and Lenawee counties, maybe Washtenaw County, Wayne County, those areas. And that would be in the event of a higher end accumulation, maybe 4 or 5 inches early on in the morning. It's just going to be a matter of how much snow is on the ground when they make that call. I'm not really sure what schools are going to do, honestly. I'm not an expert in school closings. Ann Arbor, you're going to start as snow early morning, and then transitions to rain by noon, maybe as early as 10 a.m. But by noon, it should be changed over to snow, or sorry, to rain. So we've been on here 50 minutes. We'll probably stay on a few more minutes here. I want to look at this model as it loads up with you guys and kind of go over the latest data. Not much is changing with what I'm seeing here. We see that area. I'll go ahead and zoom in so you guys can see better. The area we mentioned of a little bit higher accumulation is still showing up here on our model here, the HRRR model H. high resolution rapid refresh. It's a really good hour by hour model here, and it does a pretty good job with pinpointing areas like this one where we see a little bit higher snowfall accumulation versus areas up here towards, say, Kalamazoo, which has 2 to 3 inches, versus down here, which has 4 or 5. So likely that's why we introduce the 2 to 4 zone as well. I do want to load this up and wait, so we'll go ahead and keep it here and wait till that loads up further. Here is a good comment. I can kind of go off some education here. So Nathan has a good point, but it's also not a good point. I'll tell you why here. So the warm lake waters can have an influence closer to lake shores, which could inhibit snowfall. But warm lake waters also favor lake effect snow. So it can go both ways because the lake is warm. The warmer the lake is, in fact, the lake levels right now, there's record levels of low ice, and there's also a record warm temperatures as well on these lakes. So the combination of both of those does favor lake effect snow. But immediate lakeshore areas, it doesn't really bode well for you because that does have an impact on um, snowfall. It hits the warmer air and it kind of melts into more of a rain. So, but yeah, warm lake waters can go both ways depending on the setup and system. We're blurry on YouTube. I'll go ahead and check that out after we're done here. Actually, I can hop on my phone. It's beside me here and take a peek real quick. It's clear on my end. Looking at some latest data here. Waiting for it to load up. If you guys have questions, comments, feel free to drop those in. If you guys have comments or concerns or questions, feel free to drop those in the comments section.
I can already see the comments tomorrow. The ones who are not informed about the snow that falls and then it melts right away, and they're like, "Oh, didn't get enough snow."
We've been hitting this rain snow situation hard, so if they're not paying attention to our posts, not reading through entirely, you need to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good information that we post out there. I do plan to hop back on tomorrow morning. I'm not sure if you're going to be in class, Joel. 9:30. I have a schedule posted on MSC 8 hours ago. We'll be posting updates throughout the storm system, and I do plan to go live at tomorrow morning 9:30 to talk about updates, how it's looking, anything need to change, take some more questions. So anything you guys want to ask at that point, join in if you can, and I'll be here for probably about a half hour to an hour answering your guys' questions and looking at some data. And then again, if we need to stream again, we will stream again Wednesday morning, but I don't anticipate that to be the case. But we do have something scheduled just in case we need to use it. And then for those of you who want to know more about the weekend system, if it looks to impact Michigan, likely going to stream that either Wednesday night, but more than likely going to be on Thursday night just to allow some more models to come in. Depends on how quickly it arrives on shore, which is expected to be Wednesday afternoon. So Wednesday night at the earliest will be the first stream about the weekend system. A timeline of when the worst is going to arrive west of Alpena. Your heaviest snow is going to come tomorrow night towards, we'll say, 7 p.m. and onward. That's going to really ramp up, and it's going to snow pretty hard there from after early evening into the overnight hours. Models now out to 1 p.m. So there you go. We'll go ahead and end it right here with that model. We do see that we still see that swath of heavier snow all the way up into the northern Metro Detroit area, all the way down towards the tri-state area. Hillsdale, Lenawee counties especially. And we also see a little bit more over here in Cass County as well, so I have to keep an eye on that area as well. But we could see some 2 to 4. The plus over 4 inches likely going to be tied to Lenawee and Hillsdale counties, maybe even southern Jackson or Washtenaw counties. We'll have to kind of watch how that plays out. And I do want to mention, now we've dropped from 500 viewers to 130. There is a very, very low chance that we could see some thunder snow tomorrow morning. It's a low chance, I'm going to stress that, but we do have some elevated instability present where we may see a lightning strike or two with the heaviest band. Not certain. I wouldn't wait up and go searching for it. It's not a very high chance at all, but there is a chance.
I see some Mount Pleasant comments on here. I was, I think on our graphic we have right on the edge of the 5 to 10, 2 to 4 range. The winter weather advisory is in effect for Mount Pleasant for I think 3 to 6 isolated spots of 7. So that doesn't, again, that includes Mount Pleasant. So it all depends on how far north the freezing line gets and how much of a warm nose we get.
If we wait a few more minutes, we'll have the HRRR loading out where that rain snow line is going to be. In fact, if I hit the precip type, it'll tell me. Where is it at? There it is. So it's set up pretty much where we have it already. There, just north of Grand Rapids. I'll go ahead and zoom in here. It's kind of hard to see. So if you make it out there, here's the border of Ohio, Indiana. Grand Rapids is right about here. This is Kent County, and that rain snow line is just off to your north here. And this is what we mean by the rain snow area. Where you see this red, that's the mixing of the snow and rain. So that area is why we designated that black circle. It could go either way. It could switch to snow for a few hours. It could be rain for a few hours, back to snow. That's that transition zone we're talking about. And that still looks good. Our forecast still looks good there. We have this map here. So again, that looks really good on the latest models. So this will be more than likely our final forecast before we get into the event here starting in a few hours. Again, looking at live radar, watching that precip push our way. It'll arrive here in the next couple of hours, south to north. Starts to snow, transitions to rain around noon, or by noon it should be transitioning to rain if not already. And again, accumulations are going to be 2 to 4, 1 to 3 in the southern and central parts of the state before it switches to rain, melts it. And then areas in the dark blue will not switch to rain. It'll be a 5 to 10 type of storm when all is said and done. With that being said, guys, I do think we need to hop off here. We've been on here for an hour. Joel, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
I think we pretty much nailed everything. I had an idea of maybe streaming just the radar tomorrow, just throughout the day. Probably no commentary because again, I didn't tell you this, but I do have classes from like 9 to 1, weather permitting, of course. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, we can discuss it more together. But I think that'd be kind of cool if we just shot up a live stream of the radar, because I know some people don't have good access to a good radar sometimes. So I don't know.
If you guys want to see that, leave a comment here or a thumbs up in chat. We're kind of curious to see how much interest we have on that. We could just put like a blank radar screen up there, and if I don't know if we want to let that sit or have somebody hop on occasionally, which you're gonna, I'm free tomorrow. I could hop on and give some updates, but let us know if you want that. That's an interesting idea there. All right, guys. With that being said, I think we've covered everything. Again, system arrives 1 a.m., 2 a.m. tonight. Starts to snow. Transitions to rain, except if you're north of that black circle there in the blue zones, the dark blue zone, should I say. That doesn't change the rain, and that's where the heaviest is going to fall. But again, the concern is going to be mainly for the morning commute in the southern parts of Michigan, especially along I-94 and south of I-94 there. So with that being said, thanks you guys for watching. We're going to hop off here. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Consider sharing the stream if you find it helpful. We appreciate you guys. Have a good night. Stay safe.
Have a good night, everyone.